Hi everyone, with Hashem's help, I am back. Baruch Hashem. And I want to say, if you're new to this channel, I want you to hold tight for 1 second as I speak to all of the old-time subscribers and kind of let them know what's been going on and why I haven't been posting for a while. I've been going through an illness, as many of you know, and it came back, after coming from Spain. It's been a very tough road. That's all I can tell you. I don't know why it's happening. Everything is in Hashem's hands. All I can tell you, it's been a tough road. But I got to tell you also that thank God the sun is coming out, bezrat Hashem. And I want to thank everyone who knew what was going on with me personally and have been davening for me and checking up on me. I cannot tell you how grateful I am and how much your prayers have meant to me, both physically. I definitely feel all that positive energy coming my way. Definitely spiritually and emotionally, I have definitely felt, again, all of that positive energy that has really been keeping me going at times when I really did not know if there was going to be a tomorrow. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. I can't get over the level of concern that some of you had for me. But most of all, I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am to Hashem for his mercy in allowing me. I pray, whether it is a reprieve or a full recovery, I pray that it'll be good health and that I'll be able to do many things in the time allotted to me. And as I've said before in the past, the number of days are in Hashem's hands, but the quality of those days are in yours. And it behooves oneself to really make the most. I tend to want to take the example of Sarah Imenu, who, it was said that she came with all of her days. And I really want to strive to be in that path. And I want to thank everyone. I think it's been a few months for sure. And I almost dare say it's probably been since the end of summer since I did anything personally. And I think that the last things that I was doing was the Devorah series and the translation of the thelastanusah. And I also want to give a thank you for everyone who not only, logged on to watch and also shared it with others, but for those that took the time to actually reach out, not only to myself, but also to the participants of that series. And we got a lot of positive feedback. As you know, the Devorah series highlighted the stories of Anusim, particularly in Puerto Rico. Since then, I want to say that, my feeling last summer was that the story of Puerto Rico really needed to be told because it never really has been told. Like, in my opinion, I've never heard anyone talking about this. And I think that for myself, growing up, had there been people speaking about this, which who knows, it just may not have been the time, but there was no one talking about this, and there was no one to look to kind of say, this is the road that someone else has been here. This is the road that I should be following, or taking cues as to what questions I should be asking, whatever have you. At the end of the day, I think that the series was very successful. It was very well received, and it was very, very loved by a lot of people. And I really have been contemplating opening up the Devorah series to other parts of the world, including that of South America, in Mexico, the rest of the Caribbean, and also, believe it or not, like Italy, Greece. There's a lot of Jews that were, that fled also into Greece and other parts of Europe. So if you have a story that you'd like to share, please send me an email with your story to thelastanusah@gmail. And please, you have to say the story. Don't say, I'd rather tell it to you in person. That's not going to work, because I can't tell you how many people have said that to me. I just don't have the time for that. So if you want to tell that story, doesn't mean it'll go on or whatever. But I think that these stories have to be told. And I think that the more people, especially from places that we've not heard of from before, I'm getting emails even to this day. I think I got one Thursday from a woman who has a connection to Ireland and Italy. So they're out there still. And, I really would love to be part of bringing your story to the forefront, because I really feel that this doesn't just help the Anusim, but it also helps a Klal Israel to understand what the issues are still facing us. Because I think for a lot of them, they think that this is just something in the history book and it's over. But we know better. This is still going on. And for many of us, this is such a part of our day-to-day life. And I can't tell you, HaShem is constantly bringing people to me who've had these questions about a Jewish lineage. And, the question that follows after that, what does this mean to me? So there's a lot of people that are struggling out there with this ancestry and what does this mean? So again, if you want to send your story over, please send it over to thelastanusah@gmail.com. And again, I want to thank everyone for all the support. I can't tell you, even from that last time, from the last, episode of Aros con Devorah till now, there's been so many more discoveries. And what I will say is that for people, especially of the Caribbean, I want to give you like a preface to those who are on the family tree hunt. When you're looking into the stories of your ancestors, you really should be prepared to find not only the heroes, right? For those who fell on the right side of doing things, but also be prepared to find the villains. And, from the time that I did even the last Anusah, the book, and that I completed the Aros con Devorah, the last episode of that, there have been so many family discoveries. Some have been amazing and have led to many stories of family members and their unfortunate demise in the Inquisition. I have one family line that poor, really, they were literally fleeing. And one, you can tell had a baby on the way in Corse, France, over to the Caribbean. Very heartbreaking. And then there were those that I found that it was heartbreaking to find that they also were at the heart of bringing the Inquisition into the New World. And you can only imagine how that must weigh on me to know that there are, there are people in this world who don't always do good. And sometimes they're even in your family. And I think that's what's so heartbreaking. But nevertheless, even within my own family, there is evidence of one family member turning against another in this fight for the Anusim. And the only thing I can tell you is that my takeaway from all of this is that if you're listening to this and you are a Jew, you can't take your Judaism for granted. You cannot assume that because you're a Jew and your father was a Jew and your great-grandfather was a Jew, that you're going to end up doing the right thing. It pains me to say that there are members of my family who did not come out to that conclusion and brought such devastation, and I mean major devastation, to Klal Yisrael. And then there were those who fought and they brought such hope. And there are millions of Anusim who are alive because of the actions that they took. And of course, it's something that you say, I'm very proud of them. But there's something to learn even though in those who did not do the right thing. And I would say that my takeaway from all of it is that you have to choose HaShem every day. And even in the little things, like you cannot take it for granted. Your Judaism can be stripped from you at any moment, Has v'Shalom, if you're not careful and you're not guarding your relationship with HaShem. And I want to say that really was my big takeaway in everything. And so a lot of that, I think I also had to digest and come to terms with that. And I want to give that warning for those of you who are in the Caribbean or have a Caribbean background and start going on that family tree. Don't be discouraged. Sometimes it just happens. We are here and we're here to do a fixing. We're here to do a tikkun. And I remember, and I'll give you the same encouragement that the Rav told me, and a few Rabbanim actually. It wasn't just one. It was unanimous. And everyone that heard who some of these people were, they told me, and of all people, it was just, they quoted Rabbi Meir Belhanes and also Rabbi Akiva and some of these great giants. And they said, some of them came from horrendous, like Rabbi Meir Belhanes came from Nero. He descended from Nero. And I remember the Rav telling me, he went on to do great things, and you will go on to do great things. And I just remember, it was such a ray of hope to have heard that, and to know that there were other people who had this kind of a lineage, and they still went on to do great things, and HaShem still was with them. And so I want to encourage everyone who is probably scared of what they will find, don't worry about it. Just, you're here and you're with HaShem, and that's what matters. What matters is what you're doing today. So with that long-winded introduction, I want to say thank you, and I apologize for all those who are new to the channel, and they're like, oh my gosh, she's just going on and on. But I felt I needed to give a little something for those who have been with me in my journey and have supported me, and I am truly grateful, not only to you and your support, but for HaShem for allowing me, despite everything in the family tree, that he has allowed me to be part of whatever tikkun and rectification it is to bring these people back. I'm so happy that he brought me back. It's a tremendously complex but tremendously rewarding journey. And I got to tell you, I'm with you wherever you are, and I'm with you. And but with that, we're going to get into today's class, which is Pele Yoetz, and the subject today is laws. And as many of you know, I love the Pele Yoetz because it really does change the way you think and the way you react to certain situations. It really helps you. This literally is like a guide and a manual for life. And what's so crazy is, and I say this every time, I'm going to repeat myself again. The sages, it's like what they said is like it's hot off the press. It almost seems more relevant today than when they were writing these things. And today is no different. So it starts out, this is the rule for a man whom God has graced with intelligence. His Torah study should be Leshem Shemaim, for its own sake. That is for the purpose of keeping, doing, and fulfilling the Torah. Therefore, a man should not let a day pass without studying definitive halachic rulings in order to know what he needs to do. People who do not know the laws walk in darkness and soil themselves with excrement. For them, the crooked place is considered straight, continuously becoming worse, and the inadvertent error in study for the student who could have learned is considered negligent. Now, this is something that needs a little explanation. It almost seems like it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper, because we've heard in the past about, people are, that HaShem takes into all these, all these little considerations HaShem has. He takes into account all these calculations that go into your actions. And part of it is, what did you know? Like, did you know? Did you not know? And I want to tell you that sometimes we think that because we didn't know that, heaven forbid that you should be getting called to the carpet for something, that we're kind of going to get a pass because we didn't know. But, this reminds me of the time, we are in Connecticut, and I have a sister-in-law who is in New Jersey. And, we were going off the highway. We were on the road. I believe that the traffic, it said 35 miles an hour. We went over like maybe 2 blocks. There was no sign or anything. And we presumed it was still 35. And lo and behold, it was 25. And there was a cop sitting, he must deliberately sit there, because he was like behind a tree just waiting. And of course he caught us. And, we said, we didn't know. The sign said 35. And, we're not from in town. We didn't, we just didn't know. And let me just tell you, we still got a ticket. So sometimes not knowing the law doesn't exempt you from the punishment, is my point. And so the way to make sure that you're not getting smacked is to know the law. And this is also brought down from Rabbeinu Avraham ben Harambam, who is the son of Maimonides, the Rambam with an M. in his guide to serving HaShem. And he talks about this, and actually he opens up the Sefer with this, and he talks about this, the common road and the intimate road, and the common road being that of, rules that apply to all of us, right? That we all should know, kashrut, Shabbat, et cetera, et cetera. And then he talks about this intimate road in which we really delve in. But he also talks about the fact that even though you are judged for what you know and what you don't know, you are also judged for the fact that you should have known because you had the opportunity to learn, which goes back to what the Pele Yoetz is saying, that don't think that because you were ignorant to something that you were exempt, because you will get smacked on the fact that you should have been studying this. So that's a very, that's a little eye-opening there. And it's something that it should be a caution sign to all of us. And it continues on. It says, as such, the study of the Shulchan Aruch, which is a code of Jewish law, the Orach Chaim, with all the most recent halachic decisors, is a daily obligation. This includes the laws of prayer, tefillin, and all other laws that are necessary for every man from the rest of the code of law. A person must study them regularly, especially the laws of Nidah, which is a very relevant subject to every married man. And unfortunately, due to the lack of knowledge in this subject, mistakes are rampant and cause impure soul to be imparted into a baby, has v'shalom. Now, for those of you who know and are very frum, you know that frum people, they know exactly what is the moment of time during the week in which the holy souls are brought down. And again, so they reserve their time to bring a soul into word to that time. But if you don't know, there's a chance that you're going to, has v'shalom, be grabbing a soul from a place that it's not so pure. So it continues on and it says, the man who desires life should learn the Orach Chaim, and the man who wants no evil to befall him should learn the Yored Deah. If a person is incapable of studying from the Hebrew text, he should learn from the books written in other languages. He should not rely on them actually to be lenient, because sometimes the consensus of later authorities is to be stringent, and nonetheless they can be a source of stringency for one who is stringent receives a blessing. A person may only be lenient according to the decision of a sage who is an expert in the inner sanctum of Torah, and a person who goes to the sages will become wiser. And this is brought down in Mishlei 13:20. And I've told you time and time again, I'll repeat it, especially in this day and age, Shir Shirim brings down that HaShem has said, when you don't know what to do, follow my sages. And the sages sock it to you, right? They don't have all these justifications as to why we didn't do what we were supposed to do. They just sock it to you. And I tend, especially in this day and age, to want to hear it like that, even if I can't fulfill it. But at least if I know where the line is, it makes it harder for me to give myself an excuse. But I think a lot of times we can easily fall into this trap of, again, what he was saying in the beginning. I didn't know, so if I don't know, I can't be held accountable. But the truth is that you will be held accountable. And that's the reality that we're all trying to run away from. So it continues on, it says, this is the evil of a man on earth. He treats a prohibition like something obviously permitted and does not even enter into the house of questions in order to ask. Even those matters in which he is not certain, he does not know what to ask. Rather, he does what is right in his eyes, and the power of permission is greater for him. Woe unto us from the day of judgment, when a man will have to justify why he did not seek knowledge of the law. So again, he's bringing it down. This is the warning. Like, don't think the fact that we don't know something is going to get us out of the hot water. It will not. And so it says, learning is not a primary, action is. Therefore, everything new that he has learned or hears from others should be committed to memory or written down. It should be as a remembrance between his eyes to remind him of what he needs to do and not to be remiss. This is the primary objective of learning and listening. In any issue of doubt, a person must be stringent, for one should be more fearful of violating a prohibition than of the sword. Even when a questionable matter has been decided in favor of leniency, a very pious person should be more stringent on himself. It says that by doing so, he will be saved from ketov, which is a demon, and the blessing of good will be bestowed upon him. And so that concludes today's lesson. And again, sometimes I swear, I get it. I'm with all of you, right? Like the more we learn, the more we are accountable. But this kind of just says it right here. The fact that we didn't know still doesn't get us off the hook. And so, HaShem help us, please, especially in this day and age, when there's a lot of things that people are telling themselves that it's right, and it's not. But the only way to know that is to know what Hashem says. And I've said this time and time again, you must learn for yourself, right? If you don't know, there will be no shortage of people who will be happy to tell you their rendition of what they feel is right because they have justified their own behavior in their own eyes. So, there's a twofold there, because sometimes they do this because, they're just ignorant, or sometimes they do this because they don't want you to be a mirror reflecting to them what they know they should be doing and they're not doing. At the end of the day, cling to Hashem. Like I said in the beginning, you have to choose Hashem every day. And if you've fallen off the wagon, you don't even have to wait till the next day. Just the very next thing, go back to Hashem. Just come back. Like, you can always come back. And I think the fact that he wakes you up every day tells you that you can come back. And, the great thing about going on the journey of Musar is that, it's funny. Everyone is looking for their purpose in life. But I've learned that in going on that journey to look for your purpose, you have to find yourself, right? Like, you have to stop and look for yourself. And I think part of that is admitting to yourself who you are and who you are not, what you're capable and what you're not capable of. And I think that this serves in a number of ways. In one, it helps you to set your own boundaries, and you know what to stay away from. But also, too, you also get to know what you're capable of. And in this way, you can really excel in serving Hashem. And I pray that he helps all of us to do that. Lord knows it's a hard, hard journey, but it can be done because Hashem is with us. So I am so glad to have been with you. I can't wait for the next time. I pray that Hashem will give me a next time. But until then, that's all we have time for. And that's it for now. And I hope we'll all be together again soon. Bezrat Hashem. If you've enjoyed this video or know someone who would, please share it. Tziku l'mitzvot.